pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather in service for our community. We ask for your wisdom and guidance as decisions are made. May our actions be rooted with integrity, fairness, and a genuine desire to serve the people we represent. We ask for your blessing over this meeting and over our city. Amen.
Amen.
Even the dog stood. Even the dog stood. I love it. All right, with that said, I'm going to move into our approval agenda. Any changes, modifications, sir?
No changes, no modifications.
Oh, look at there. I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Prout, second by Mayor Pro Tem Olvera. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout. Yes. Olvera.
Yes.
Espinoza
Yes.
and Gibbon.
Yeah, at this time, we'll move into public comment. Public comment is for any person wishing to speak on any item included on the agenda or on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. Speakers are invited to speak from the podium and address the city council. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. Unless additional time is needed for translation, please state your name and address for the record. At this time, public comment is open. I see you. Hello, chief.
Hello, Mayor, members of City Council. Randy Milligan, your Chief of Police.
Move it towards you, sir. Thank you.
How's this?
Oh, it's much better.
It's my pleasure to introduce Brandon Snyder.
Woo-hoo.
Brandon was sworn in on January 5th. He has 17 years, and I'm talking about the officer, not the dog. He has 17 years of professional law enforcement experience from a local agency. We're very happy to have him here. And the best part about Brandon, I am sorry, but he also has a canine partner, Doggo, who is a 3-year-old German Shepherd, who the city also lateraled him over as well. So he'll be one of the very few canines in Kern County who will actually be fentanyl narcotic detection trains. And so we will get our canine program up and running with Brandon's level of experience and with Doggo's help. So with that, I'd like to introduce Brandon and his canine partner, Doggo.
All right.
Thank you for coming here to Shafter. It is good to have you here.
Hope being done to make the council, the chief, and the citizens proud.
Absolutely.
I'm sure he will.
Perfect.
Listen, you got a dog that won't bite your head off when you're around people. So that's a win right there.
So
Absolutely,
Sure.
that's fine. Yeah. You're gonna have to fight your fears on this one.
Mm.
Bite us. No biting. No biting.
just don't step on his tail.
If you just stay to the side, they'll never come.
No. I don't want to be. Step right here. All right, guys. And right. Couple. Perfect. Good? Yeah. You want a uniform? Yeah. It is. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be?
Oh, we're still here?
I want
All
to
good, guys,
do
all
it.
good.
Oh, you want us gone?
No, you guys want to stay after you want to
Yeah,
do the uniform?
for one, and then we
Yeah.
can do it, yeah. Come on back then. Do we got enough room? Yeah. I mean, I take a little bit bigger. Of course. Everybody.
Yeah, buddy. Boss, sir. Excuse me.
Oh, dude, he will. Thank you, guys.
Ready to go? We've already had this conversation. I'm gonna feed him.
Yeah.
Figures. That's figures. You said.
And then they move him to the suspect because he's so the adrenaline's going.
Well, thank you, Chief, for doing that. And excited to have our canine program back up and running. So very good, very good. Any other comments for public comment? See staff in the room like, I'm not following that. Very good. At this time, public comment is closed. Council announcements and reports. I will start with you, Councilmember Alvarado.
You know, other than Happy New Year's, and that's pretty much all I have to report.
Very good. Councilmember Prout.
Yes, we did have a couple oaths of office that happened here. One was on January the 5th and one was on January the 19th. They were both PD officers. One was Brandon Snyder, who we got to see just now, as well as Joanna Lopez, who came in yesterday. I wanted to backtrack a little bit too. I did participate with economic development consultants that came in and interviewed us for our 5-year plan that we're working on for our future of Shafter. Also, I attended the employee holiday lunch and games, and I have to say I was very pleased and excited to be there because everyone was having a good time, and yeah, we all had gifts exchanged, and it was really a fun time. Also, it's important now to note, in the past few years, we've had a task force that came to Shafter. We started in Shafter to bring together people as well as organizations to highlight the needs of the community. And at this time, we're going to merge, the group will merge just the local task force with the Shafter Community Collaborative. And that's really formed and operating through Richland School District. So starting tomorrow, Adam Alvidrez has called the first meeting with lunch starting at 10:30 till 12. And a lot of, I believe he had 60 reservations already coming in for people that were going to come and exchange and share a lot of what's needed for Shafter as well as what they can offer for the community. So I'll be in attendance and be able to report to you next time. Also, I wanted to mention about the Colors event that's coming up. There's a lot planned for all ages and all types of activities. It starts on February the 26th and it goes through March the 1st. And I think it's important to note, because I haven't told you a breakdown, and I'm going to highlight it pretty quick, but we starts off with a spaghetti dinner that's hosted with the community chest. But there are events that happen throughout the community at Tin Cup in the theater, Shafter High School, some churches, the museums, as well as the activity center at Richland School, and the Vets Hall will have the artists. So it's something for everyone, all ages, and I hope that you'll try to get in on some of, most of it is free to the community to come and participate. So you'll see, and I'll soon have a handout to give you that will show what you can attend starting on that Thursday through the Sunday. That's all I have.
Very good. Councilmember Espinoza.
On the, I'll start on the 16th of December. I attended the police department substation and library extension groundbreaking out of Gossamer. On the 18th, I attended the lunch part. I had to leave after lunch for the holiday luncheon at the Veterans Hall with the city employees. On the 27th, I attended the Christmas tree display at the Shafter Depot. And then on the 29th, no, not the 29th. On the 5th of January, I attended an oath of office for Brandon Snyder, and I'd like to welcome him aboard. And I attended an oath of office yesterday for police officer Joanna Lopez. I'd like to welcome her aboard, and that's all I have.
Very good, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, just Happy New Year for everybody. Thanks. It was a good break. Excited to be back. Thank you, City Manager, Assistant City Manager, Director of Public Works for looking at those issues, those flooding issues in North Shafter, bringing resolution to those. Hopefully it comes to fruition quickly. And then I also took a drive through the North Park and saw the skate park coming up and everything's coming along, sidewalks, and drove in there on Saturday. Actually, they had people out there working, putting up fencing. So that was neat. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. With that, I have nothing else to report on, and we will move into our consent calendar. At this time, there are 13 items on consent calendar. I will do a brief read through of said items. Number 1, approving general checks. Excuse me. Number two, approve payroll. Number three, accept the treasurer's report for November of 2025. Number four, approval of minutes. Number five, adopt the City of Shafter employee biweekly pay schedule effective December 6, 2025. Number six, adopt the City of Shafter employee biweekly pay schedule effective January 3rd, 2026. Item number seven, approve the reimplementation of a police patrol canine. You guys saw that tonight. Number eight, approve and authorize the chief of police to enter into a 3-year contractual agreement with West Tech for use of the weapons shooting range. Number nine, authorize submittal of a letter on behalf of the City of Shafter supporting the request for funding from the state to help improve reliability and quality of drinking water. Number 10, authorize the submission of a letter of financial support for the federal state partnership for intercity rail program grant application for the Cherry Avenue grade separation project, and authorize a funding commitment of $8,240,800 in traffic impact fees as a local match for the grant application if the project is awarded. Number 11, adopt the MOU between the City of Shafter and Clean Water Ventures. Number 12, transmit the letter exercising the city's option to extend the solid waste agreement for the East Shafter service area with American Refuse for a 5-year period through July 31st, 2031. And lastly, but not least, transmit the letter, number 13, transmit the letter exercising the city's option to extend the solid waste agreement for the East Shafter service area with Varner Brothers, Inc. for a 5-year period through July 31st, 2031. Questions, comments, or concerns? And if none, I need a motion and a second to carry, please.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Olvera, second by Councilmember Espinoza. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Trout,
Yes.
Olvera,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Gibbons.
Yes, thank you all very much. Have one item on the docket for public hearing. That is the general plan amendment number 25-45 and zone change number 25-79. Alan, happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Pleasure to see you all. Alrighty, yeah, so today's project application was for a general plan amendment and zone change. The applicant was American Refuse. The site here is 107 South Beach Avenue, just a couple 100 feet south of the intersection of East Lerdo Highway and South Beach Avenue. So this used to be the old packing shed that belonged to the Handel and Sons, but now belongs to American Refuse. Next slide, please. So the applicant is requesting to amend the land use designation and change the zone district of the site from business park to industrial. Reason being is that in the future, they want to be able to develop a future truck repair shop and truck wash and have more fueling and parking for their fleet. Currently under business park, that would require subsequent conditional use permits, but with the industrial zoning designation, that would facilitate and expedite the processes. Next slide, please. So this is the conceptual development site. It is or development plan, I should say. It is conceptual in nature and subject to change. But this gives you an overview of what American Refuse sees as the long-term use for the site. Next slide. There's typical required findings that we have to go through for every general plan amendment. Staff considers that all of those findings have been met. The proposed amendment is consistent with the goals and policies of the general plan. Will not result in any internal inconsistencies within the general plan. There's no adverse impacts to the public health or welfare. It's consistent with the Shafter zoning ordinance and is subject to a Class 32 exemption, which is an infill development project, so it won't have an impact on the environment. Next slide. And pretty much the same required findings are made for the zone change. And so staff also believes that those have been satisfied. Next slide. So my recommendation at this time is that we conduct a public hearing and that the City Council adopt resolution number 3056, a resolution of the City Council approving general plan amendment number 25-45 to change the general plan land use designation from business park to industrial and introduce for first reading and waive the reading of ordinance number 776 to change the zone district from business park to industrial as well. So the zone change would be subject to a second reading. I've tentatively scheduled that for the February 3rd City Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing at this time. We are going to open up for the public for the any conversation for the general plan amendment number 25-45 and zone change number 25-79. Public comment is open. Hello, sir.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, I'm Jeff Martin with American Refuse. We're excited about this project. We've been working on it a really long time. I feel like we've gone round and round looking for a site here in Shafter of a place to move to. So we own it now and we're excited to get this project going. We have a CUP, and we've been working, we hired a construction company to get that moving along, and it's just, I do not know why it takes everything so long to get done, but it does much longer than I thought it would be. But anyways, do you have any questions for me?
The site map looks good.
Yeah.
Vast difference from what's there.
Yeah. We wanted it to be where you drove by and didn't really know what it was. That's what our goal is, you know, where it looks really nice. It's very aesthetic. We spent a lot of time with the architect on it, so we're very excited.
Very nice.
Are you moving your operation from Wasco to here, or are you gonna have
All
still have both?
all the trucking side of it will be, there's a transfer station over there, and we're not gonna move the transfer station, so it'll just be mainly the trucks. The majority of our staff are from Shafter, and so, and the majority of our work is in this area and also to the south. And so, you know, for us, logistically, it'll be quite a savings being based here than it would in Wasco. So,
Okay, well, congratulations and good luck with everything.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, with that said, any other public comments in regards to said item? Hearing none and seeing none, public comment is closed. Council, any questions, comments, or concerns? And if hearing none, seeing none, I'm gonna look for a motion and a second to carry.
I move we approve.
I'll second.
All right, I have you would like to read this out. Council to conduct a public hearing to consider general plan amendment number 2545 and zone change number 2579, adopting resolution number 3056, a resolution of City Council of the City of Shafter approving general plan amendment number 2545 and introduced for first reading by title only and waive reading of ordinance number 776, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Shafter approving zone change number 2579. Thank you very much. I have a motion by Councilmember Prout and a second by Councilmember Espinoza. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Olvera,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes, thank you, Marco, for springing that on me. I appreciate that, friend. We have 4 items on the docket for our management report. Item number 1, the formation of a U.S. Economic Development Administration Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. All that, otherwise known as SEDS, SEDS committee, and nominate 1 council member to join the committee. It's a lot of things to get to an acronym of SEDS. Hi, Gio.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Shafter City Council. The item brought forth to you tonight is in regards to Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, otherwise known as SEDS. And the purpose of today is multiple recommendations from staff for council to make an action on, which is adopt the resolution, authorize the formation of this strategy in the first place, and then lastly, council nomination for 1 person to join the committee. And so want to first lay the background. What is a SEDS? So a SEDS is a federally recognized economic development plan required by the U.S. Economic Development Agency, EDA, and it's required and used primarily for eligibility and competitiveness for federal grant funding. And so what the SEDS does, it's evaluating a lot of things at the same time. It's evaluating strengths and weaknesses, economic conditions currently, strategic goals. But most importantly, it identifies priority projects for jobs and investment. And some key examples from other municipalities in California have been infrastructure projects like street improvements, or a big one is utility preparation for shovel-ready sites for new development. Additionally, it can even be a step forward in terms of creating a workforce center, innovation hubs, and more. So the SEDS, it can be very broad, but as long as it's jobs, growth, and investment focused, we can prioritize those projects. And so there's a key distinction that I want to make clear between the SEDS and the 5-year Economic Development Strategic Plan, which was kicked off in early December, where we asked a lot of stakeholders to conduct these one-on-one interviews with the consultants we had. And so the EDSP, the 5-year EDSP, is going to set Shafter's long-term vision for policy and operational direction, and it identifies those priorities we should be focusing on. Now, the SEDS, as previously mentioned, it will take this EDSP priorities and these strategic goals, and it's going to allow us now to apply federal funding to allow these projects to actually go through fruition. And so the key takeaway is EDSP is strategy and direction, whereas SEDS is funding eligibility. So Shafter needs its own SEDS document as a standalone because the Kern County one is really broad and is very competitive for all the municipalities to get a bite of the apple, so to speak. And so what a city-specific SEDS allows, it's allowing all these city-specific priority projects, and it also gives us a higher edge when we're applying for any of these grants. And so with that, we're doing this now because the prior SEDS effort that was done with the city back in 2021, it mainly focused on street improvement projects and then one water and fiber infrastructure project. So now knowing the background I just gave earlier about what the SEDS can actually accomplish beyond just infrastructure, we think it's a pivotal time that we can create that synergy between the two efforts while not being duplicative, but being proactive and smart about it. And as part of this SEDS document formation, the strategy formation, what's required is the establishment of a SEDS committee. This committee is a mandatory component as dictated by the EDA, and it must include a cross-functional mix of public sector, private sector, workforce, education partners, community stakeholders, small business owners, and major employers. And so once again, with the committee, what it does is it grounds the SEDS in real world conditions. We want this to be tactical and practical. And now with that, what we're recommending as part of this SEDS committee is that we recommend the nomination of one city council member to participate in this committee. It will be non-voting. It'll be kind of a policy aligned position. And it'd be really to create that connection between the council committee and the community as a whole. So a liaison. And what this committee will do, it will meet right now as it stands, we'll meet around 3 times. It'll be a commitment of 1 to maybe 1.5 hour meetings. And these meetings as of right now are intended to be virtual. And the kickoff would be the second week of February. And so with that, now we kind of tie it all back with what is the ask of staff for council to act upon, which is 1, adopt resolution number 3057, authorize the formation of the SEDS strategy and the SEDS committee, and nominate the 1 city council member between the 5 of you to participate in this committee. Other than that, thank you, and I look forward to decisions.
Thank you very much, Gio. Much appreciated. Questions, comments, or concerns, folks?
I just have a quick question. Is this a term position or is this like a permanent position?
No, it's just for the matter of the SEDS committee, which will end at the same time as our other effort, the full-fledged. So it'd be probably ending end of March to April.
Couple months.
Oh, okay, short term.
But really, it's just those 3 meetings that you'd be meeting at.
All right, thank you.
Good question. Okay, if no other questions, Gus, I'd like to nominate you for that. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah, I'll accept the
Anyone have opposition to Gus taking that as the lead? Okay with that?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest Pete, but
I'm okay with Gus.
yeah.
Very good. If we're in favor of that, then what I am looking for is a motion and second to carry to adopt resolution 3057, authorize the formation of the SEDS program and nomination of Gus Olvera to serve on the committee for said meetings. And a motion and a second to carry.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a motion and second, I have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, a second by Councilmember Espinoza. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Kraut,
Yes.
Olvera.
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Gibbon.
Yes, thank you very much. Number two is our fiscal year 2024-2025 financial results. Hello, Mr. Sanchez. Long time no see.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, Roger Sanchez, Finance Director. I would like to give a brief overview of the 2024-2025 financial results. A quick roadmap as to what's coming. We expect the auditors to come and join on the next council meeting, first week of February, and to present the final year-end financial reports. That should be a short meeting. It should be just if they find any, if they have any findings or fraud information or anything like that, they'll communicate that. And so we expect to have a clean audit this year again. So, but to save time, I would like to share some of the financial information. It should be a short presentation. So the first two slides relates to the citywide. It's hard to make it meaningful, but it has some useful information regarding labor costs and other useful information. The more relevant information is to break it by fund, and that is after the first two slides, I'll show you the general fund. How do we do on the general fund at the end of the year? So first is the citywide. We do have the labor cost. As you can see, historical and the latest at the fiscal year end of 24-25. So we see the previous year at $17.8 million, and then as we close at $20.6 million citywide general labor costs. And then we can see the materials and operations on the blue line. Then business incentives. We see a sharp decrease, mainly because of how we're working with our partners and we're withholding money by strategic reasons. So that's why we see a sharp decrease on the business incentives. Those are the operating expenses. Now, we also have fleet and equipment and capital projects for a total expenses from $47.8 to $52.2 million. So again, you can see the numbers, which includes the orange, the blue, and the green relates to the operating expenses, whereas the others are the one-time capital expenses citywide. These are the citywide expenses by category. Again, the top section gives the labor cost and it compares budget to actual, what we budgeted. The middle section also shows the actuals compared to the previous year and the year-over-year change. So 1 year to the next, we had an increase of $2.8 million or a 16% increase. The last column on the right side represents a 7-year growth rate, which is on labor cost 8.3% growth. And then we can see on the plant operations at 9.9% and utilities, that's mainly PG&E and other utilities. That is at 9.8%. The business incentive, as I described, they have a decrease, and then the fleet and equipment and the CAP. We have our totals. For the general fund, we had another very good year. We were planning to spend a little bit more money on the police and substations. We did not see a whole lot of activity by the time we ended in June. Instead, we're going to see it in the current year. So once we close the current year, that's where we see the bulk of the expenses for the park, the pool, and the substation. So therefore, we had a significant increase again on the fund balance. If you notice the green on the right side, that's the fund balance at the end of 22-23 year. Then you add on the previous year, $10.6 million. So if you see on the left side, we have the revenues, expenses, any transfers, and the net increase or the net surplus. So on the light blue, we do have the increase in the general fund of $10.6 million, very good year. And again, this year, we have an increase of $9.8 million at the end of 24-25 for a combined general fund balance reserve of $87.8 million, very healthy. Historical General Fund, fund balance. So you can see the assigned on the yellow, the non-spendable is very minimal. And the green is the unassigned, which is really at council discretion for a combined total at the end of 24-25 of $87.8 million. General fund operating expenses and revenues. So on the top half, we have the total revenues. And on the bottom section, we do have the operating expenses by category. So again, it compares budget to actual on the labor cost. And you can see on the general fund, how does it compare to the previous year with an increase year over year of $2.6 million or 18.2% and an 8.5% growth rate. It is worth noting that the property tax on the very top section has such a nice 7-year growth of 11.7%. That's just unheard of in other agencies. That's very healthy. And of course, we also have the franchise fees and total fees for services, licenses and permits. Those building guys, very busy, very healthy. So just a very good year at the end. This is general fund operations by division. What it does, it just breaks down. It does a 3-year comparison. The most recent year is the blue, and 2 years ago is the red. So you can see that the police is the largest division. And after that is streets, public facilities or parks, building inspections, the education partnership, finance, engineering, planning, and so on. So it does a comparison of 3-year changes. As you can see, there's significant investments on the police department going from 6.8 million to 9.4 million. Now, after the another large one is the water fund. We have our revenues and we have our operating expenses, and we can see an operating income. We have budget versus actuals and comparisons to previous years. And we also have a 7-year growth information on the right side. And you can see that the operating expenses have been significant with modest increases in revenue. So thank you for approving the rate updates recently. Sewer fund, similar stories. We do have the information on the revenues, and then the bottom sections, the operating expenses and the growth on the right side. And with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
All right, council, questions, comments, or concerns in regards to what you just saw?
It's good. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. All right, that is for information only. So I appreciate your time in doing that, Roger. Thank you. Item number 3 on the manager report is the administrative hearing procedures for the conduct of administrative hearings pursuant to the charter ordinance adoption. And I'm going to look to our city attorney, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. Last year, the city council adopted an ordinance to establish governing procedures and quite detailed that included also some penalty provisions to be used by the city council in cases in which council members may violate those procedures. There's also provisions in the city charter regarding when there's certain types of violations might trigger the removal of a council member. Section 408C of the charter further provides that the city shall by ordinance establish procedures for the conduct of an administrative hearing, which is the process that's described in the charter for the review of any of those violations and potential removal of a member. And so what's before you tonight, we haven't done that. What you adopted were the protocols and some penalty provisions, but what has not been adopted have been the administrative procedures to be used by a proposed hearing officer anytime those protocols are invoked. And so what's before you tonight is a ordinance that would adopt those procedures for use by a future hearing officer anytime they're conducting those administrative hearings. The proposed administrative procedures are designed to be as flexible as possible for the use by a hearing officer, but at the same time, they're designed to protect as much that is required. The due process rights of all of the individuals that might be participating in any of those hearings. And so, for example, in the staff report, we have outlined just a brief summary of what the administrative hearing procedures provide for. I noted those in 7 steps. I did review those with the city manager and with a current hearing officer. But to be honest with you, these procedures are designed not for any specific situation. They're designed to be used in any situation. So whether they're used next week, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that's the purpose of these proposed administrative procedures. They're not specific to any particular situation. And so as you review those, you ought to be mindful of that they are really for the process that is to be used anytime a hearing officer is appointed. And so with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Council, questions, comments, or concerns about what is sitting here? Sorry, in item number 3. Ever so quietly, much appreciated. With that said, I'm looking for a motion and a second on said items to have this done. A motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, a second by Councilmember Prout. Roll call vote,
Mayor, if
please.
you could read the ordinance.
You and the reading of these ordinances. This is an ordinance read by title only and introduced ordinance number 775, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Shafter, California, adopting administrative hearing procedures for the conduct of administrative hearing pursuant to the charter of the City of Shafter. And again, that's a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, second by Councilmember Prout. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
I'm going to vote no.
Prout,
Yes.
Olvera,
No.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Gibbon.
Yes. Thank you very much. All right, with that said, we'll move into item number 4, the reallocation of city council discretionary funding to a single line item in institution of majority approval for events. Mr. Lippincott, is this yours?
Covered my entire presentation, right?
Okay.
Based on your guys' previous direction, this has been brought back for you guys to vote on the new procedure for approving these events going forward, or approving the funding associated with these events. Previously, there was independent authority for each council member based on an allocation to approve funding for an event. This will move it from an independent allocation to a majority rules type voting situation with a single allocation across the board. This will also help provide audit trail as well, which helps us on the combined.
Thank you. So at this time, I believe the only question is, just so the clarity, this is to roll back what was originally approved year and a half ago. Can I say the right timing?
Yes, with the exception of us actually putting this in a budget as a separate line item for transparency.
Fair enough. Okay. Council, looking to hear what your flavor is on this. Would you like to see the process for allocation for community events done as a whole, which would then obviously trigger the permitting process and everything to come direct to council, or do the process through an individual allocation? I, for one, like the individual allocation. I think you can speed up the process. Your community still is getting served. Frankly, if you look at it and do it correctly, your community is getting served better than it would be in the past. So I don't quite agree to going back to doing it as a whole. But I'm going to look to each of you for.
So you have a question,
The question is,
Question, right?
if at this point, there's really, I'm just gonna say the motion will be up in the air for whatever you so choose. If your decision, folks, is to say, I want a motion, that we go back to a group allocation and vote by group, then, make sure you note that. If you're fine leaving it the way it is, then note it as such. And right now, yes, sir.
So, and city attorney is correct, just so you guys are aware, there is no motion needed to remain as it is. That's the default position.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I would be in favor of individual. individually looking at it.
which is maintaining the current position.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I stand with it too. Anyone else?
So just for clarification, what is that in detail? What is-
So the way they, and if I, okay, the way I understand the individual position is it's the exact same allocation that we do. Let me say this correctly. We did not have allocation before. It just kind of willy-nilly went through and did its thing. What the five of us came to that conclusion is what would that look like if we did have an allocation? What would that number be? Would that make sense for the community events we were doing based on historical information? And then if we push it onto an individual level, so it was allocated for each council member, you would then be able to process this information quicker and not have to go through the gambit of this process, the council bureaucracy process. So Cinco de Mayo is a great use or example. I'm trying to think of the right word. Cinco de Mayo is a great example of this. In the Cinco de Mayo case, let's assume that it's a $10,000 cost to have any of our staff taking care of that. There's always a cost for every event, and all we're trying to do is just understand what that is. And so all we do from our perspective is we allocate what we have budgetarily for that to be covered.
So we're going to go back to originally where we had started off, right? Is that basically what it's trying to?
Yeah, you guys are going back. Well, it's a little bit different because previously there were some issues with us. Events would get approved, we bring them back retroactively, stuff like that. So going forward, that won't be the case, but you guys will be approving any funding obligation on a majority basis. And I really want to highlight that just because it is allocated to a certain budget, sorry, the coffee's kicking in. Me too.
Is it alligators?
Yeah. So even if it's allocated at a certain amount, council has the power of the purse. So for us, we like to be able to see it on the staff side so we can budget appropriately as a total amount of the budget. But at any time, if council exhausted that fund, you could always vote and allocate new funding. That is a power solely with you guys.
So, okay, let's just say Cinco de Mayo comes up today, right? With this, this process that isn't mentioned right now. So does it have to be, so tell me so what happens then?
Using Cinco de Mayo as a hypothetical, say, the leader of, or the subcommittee for Cinco de Mayo came to you and said, hey, we're looking for an in-kind sponsorship so that we can cover our costs. You could individually approve all of that through your in-kind allocations without that having to go back to council.
But the only problem I have is that you don't have to approve it.
Yes, you have to. It's special event permit still has to come through everything.
No,
else.
I mean, as far as the allocation, because the old the one we had before, you had the choice not to allocate your portion to the item or to the event.
100%.
Okay, so that's the part I have a problem with.
So it's the same as under the majority vote too. The council could, on a majority basis, vote not to fund an event. And then the event is not funded. The reason the individual allocations are a little bit more flexible is because you don't have to worry about a majority vote to then fund it.
Okay.
So, and we'll keep the hypothetical Cinco de Mayo. If it comes in Ms. Root, if you're listening, this is not happening. This has never happened. But if it comes before and they say, listen, we're going to need police services and public works services to run the event, we know that, and the permit comes before council and it gets denied in a 3-2, then they don't get in-kind services. Versus from an individual perspective, right? Because let's say 2 said yes. From an individual perspective, the 2 just say, it doesn't matter. I still have it. Go, do your thing, because that's the way it was set up. So it does help in those scenarios. I mean, if we're going to be honest with it, the city has never denied an event for the community unless it didn't benefit the community. But every event we've ever pushed through, you can name it, it's always.
I think the problem I'm also struggling with, they have to come and request funding or request.
They have to do that anyway right now.
No, they just do the paperwork and that's it.
It's the same process.
But they're not here standing before and asking, hey, can you fund this or can you pay for this? Or can you allow
So they
city staff
No, if it was, no, city staff and this.
or the pay to, I mean,
No, this is council obligation. And part of this is, they don't actually have to come in here with the individual allocations at all. More typically, in most areas, they approach the council members separate. They get their support for it, then they allocate specific funding. So it kind of cuts out the.
Let me ask you this question. If, I know we have a budgeted amount per council member right now. So let's say I exceed or I use up my budgeted amount, but I have another person that's approaching me for another event. I have no other funding left. So how would that work? And if I wanted to sponsor that because A, it's a good event for the community, but yet maybe other council members don't want to, how would that work?
You got two options on that. And, one, you go back for reallocation of additional funding to the line item. And that's a vote you guys have to take as a group to reallocate the funding.
Okay.
Or, and what happens in most areas is it's worked out so that multiple council members support any one event. So there's never an issue of a single council member. And you guys all do that already. So there's never an issue of a single council member financing a single event or funding it, to where if they lost that support or there was no money, there wouldn't be an ability to go forward.
So I think the advantage I see if we have one pot and they come to us, they're talking to the council as a whole, we're all here, right? They're saying, hey, this is the event we would like to have. We would like your support for that event. So I think to me, that would be the better option, because if not, then they have to come as individuals and approach me and say, hey, would you support or do the in-kind contribution so that we can have our event? And then they can go to the other ones. But if there's not enough funding there, they're still in the same situation, right?
Yes.
So,
But that's
Either
only-
way, it's kind of the same situation.
Yeah,
It's only talking about if you reach the limits. I mean, everybody has a set limit.
correct.
So if you spend yours all on one event, then that would be your choice. I mean, you can't, spend or ask someone else to spend the money that's allocated to them if they choose not to.
Right.
So then that van doesn't get,
no,
Doesn't
so, and I think that's the thing that we're stuck on, is that if an individual doesn't have the allocation available at the event's demand,
Or if they choose not to sponsor it because for whatever
but
reason.
that doesn't kill the event. It just means they have to go back to the bureaucratic process. Right? The bureaucratic process says, make sure your permit's in, make sure it's in with enough time to get to the council, make sure council has a chance to vote on it and say yes to it so we can be done with it and then move on.
But if
In this scenario, if you had an individual event and you were not able to get it done in time, and we have seen that where permits are not getting funneled in time.
well, that's never been enforced either.
You are-
Everybody's,
but we don't want that policy.
the rules are there, but they've never been enforced,
So, and if council would like to change those rules, it is council's authority, but I have to enforce what is currently in place.
So in those scenarios, right, and I agree, enforcing it's one thing, but in those scenarios, if you don't get there in time,
I
so
understand that.
this does eliminate those steps.
But they have to come to each of us to ask for the in-kind contribution to sponsor them. And if they can't get in touch with us, or if we choose not to, then there's no event. Because let's say we're talking Cinco de Mayo, $25,000, let's say, right? I've used some of my budget already for Christmas parade. So I know I don't have enough, but that's a good event to have, right? It's been around for, I don't know, so many years. So then what? That's the issue that I have with it.
So I can tell you guys, based on the level at which your allocations are set, one of you could independently fund both of our largest events, which is Christmas parade and Cinco de Mayo, and still have money for another event. So there really is. you
Well, we
guys-
haven't really tracked it because the Christmas parade was 13th and I got the paperwork.
So the Christmas parade was around 11.
It was claimed that 13 was,
So the email I sent you, it highlighted 9 to 10,000 in overtime and 1,000 in traffic fees for the plan.
well, the one that we got from the city was 13, right? I think
I believe so.
it was
Was it
13.
the email said 13 on it?
Yeah.
Like 11,000, because the traffic plan was about 1,000. It was 9 to 10,000 in overtime, is what I sent out. But I could be wrong. 10 or 13,000, either way. I mean, Cinco de Mayo is about 10,000 too, I believe, PD overtime and stuff like that.
A whole day event. That started from 9 o'clock in
Yeah,
the
I
morning
know.
till 6, 7 o'clock at night.
We also.
Christmas parade was only from 4 to
Christmas parade
8.
is also an all-day event. We have staff out there and we had them out there from 8 in the morning to midnight that night. So for us, it's an all-day event.
Okay.
First Fridays falls into that category.
Right.
First Fridays will not fall into that category any longer going forward.
Oh.
Because we'll be running 3 independent First Fridays across the city next year, which will be kind of exciting. They'll be on MOUs, but each vendor or each applicant, like the, gosh dang it, Hens Roost did this year, will handle all the special prevents themselves. Hens Roost does a great job making sure everything's in line.
So the Christmas lighting, the things that the city may put on, the National Night Out,
So those are actually obligated in individual departmental budgets. The Christmas tree lighting was actually obligated into community services under David. We reallocated that over. The National Night Out is an allocation that's under the police budget. That's why they operate it and they put the event together.
And any other events, any other type of First Fridays? How is that gonna be?
So going forward, in the past, I know we've had large city staff presence and stuff like that. That will not be happening going forward. PD will patrol those as it occurs and as police are available, but there will be no dedicated staff on those events going forward. If there were, I would need to bring allocations to you guys, and that gets very expensive very quickly.
I have a question I'd like to ask. Is there a conflict of interest with a council member being a part of a club or an organization and then making decisions for it? On what's going on? Because I mean, as like a water bill for senior citizens, I mean, I wasn't even allowed to even listen or participate in that. So, I mean, is there a conflict of interest there?
Good question.
It depends if the member has a financial interest in the event or is somehow being paid by the organization that is seeking the funds. So as long as that's not going on, there shouldn't be a conflict of interest. Remember, conflict of interest deals with financial conflicts.
Okay, but the council member is deciding whether to subsidize the event or not. So that doesn't have anything to do with it?
Again, the issue is whether or not the member has a financial interest in the organization or the event that he is using his council or directing the council funds toward. But we can certainly delve more deeply into each of those situations. But just as a general matter, conflicts of interest deal with financial conflicts. And so as long as the member isn't being compensated for it by either the event or the group, then there's no financial interest.
Okay, well, my whole issue on it is accountability and being upfront.
All right, folks. Good talk. So let's ask the question. Where do you all want to go from here? If you guys want to go back to group decisions and council approvals through the permitting process, then by all means, put a motion and a second out there for what's sitting on the paper.
Yeah, I want to say something. I think if we go back to that, I mean, it wasn't or hasn't been an issue in the past, right? The reason for this is to make sure that there was an allocation in the budget to make sure, hey, this is what we're spending to track it, right? So I think that would be the way to go, but at the same time, the city probably needs to get with these organizations and lay out, hey, this is what's in place as far as rules and guidelines, regulations for the permitting process. This is how you do it. This is the amount of time you have. So that way there's no question in that. And if they don't get it submitted within the allotted time for the city to process it, then there's no event or that date gets changed, one or the other. That's my thinking.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm gonna say the weird thing. My only problem with that is I hate to see an event not happen because of that. Hold the line, right? I think we have to hold the line. You got to do the permit right. You got to put the stuff together. So I'm not upset about like that stuff has to be done.
Absolutely.
It's just a bummer if someone's doing an event and they just failed at getting the stuff in. You're like, come on. So it does stink a little bit. I don't like that. And that's why I like this route a little bit better because it does give leniency towards that. I hate bureaucracy. I hate going down this trail. That's why I'd rather make things easier. But again, if everyone's like, hey, go through the process and do it that way, I don't care. We allocate it. It's there. We know what we're doing and why it's there. So I don't mind.
In my opinion.
I mean, then if we have that policy, that gives that latitude, that grace where we could get the street. We still got plenty of time. They'll let it go through. So you got that flexibility. Now there's no pressure to get that paperwork turned in. As long as
From an individual point?
or from a group.
From a group point, you do not have that flexibility.
Well, because now they could come to us
From a group point, so make sure I get that clear. In the moment we stand today, we are at an individual aspect. Even if it required all 5 of our allocations to do it, it's still based on an individual level. Because it's not being, the permit's not coming before council to have the approval of said in-kind, because it's being allocated from our own in-kind budget, our individual budget.
Mhm.
But if it goes back to the process of saying permit has to be in, everything has to be done, and it has to get in front of council with enough time, then no, the flexibility isn't there.
No, but the
But in a
proposed,
current,
yeah, the one we're proposing today. that
to,
gives
to
a-
go to,
gives a- right.
no, that is
Oh,
not
the
what
one
we're,
that you're proposing,
what I'm proposing is to stay as is.
which is,
With the allocations individually?
Mhm.
well, that gives latitude for us, for them to submit paperwork late.
It does,
So-
yes.
Yeah.
And that's, we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
We're all
I
gonna
wanna
go back to
clar-
those old ways.
I want to clarify. Either way, and we've had this put on our website, it's in our paperwork, the single forms for special events, all the timelines are on there and online. Either way, they will have to submit within those timelines. The problem we're having, frankly, is if we do not get the stuff we need, we end up in this weird enforcement situation where we don't know who's legal, we don't know who's unpermitted, we don't know what. And it can create liabilities for the city, which is.
Agree. Yeah, so I,
So, because the one that you're motioning right now or proposing right now, that's gonna give the clubs, flexibility to come in late.
great,
No,
yeah.
no.
That
There-
was-
Not to come in late, they still have to do the permitting process.
Yes, yes, but under 30 days.
No, so, and I will tell you, the special.
Oh,
event permit,
See,
if
that's what I'm
you-
saying. See, we got two different stories
No,
here.
Because a lot of our special event permit is predicated on the county timeline for public health. Public health actually pushes it 90 days out. So we have scheduled all of our stuff to comply with county health so we can get all this lined up properly. So we cannot change those timelines. We will try to bend as much as we can. But the issue we've had pretty concurrently or pretty consecutively is that we don't get all the required paperwork on these events, which makes the city then liable. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Okay, well, so what, because right now we had one story and you had another story,
Mhm.
just right now. So, and here we are trying to make a decision.
All you guys are voting on tonight, as it says in the item, is whether you voted as individual, or you have individual authority, or you voted as majority. That's all it is. That is literally all it's coming down to. We, as, Councilmember Olivera, or Mayor Pro Tem, sorry, Olivera put out there, the reason we did this was so that we have an actual audit trail and it's very transparent how much is being spent on these events. Because typically in the past, they've been buried in departmental budgets. Not saying that's a bad thing, but it does make it harder for an auditor to really show what's being spent.
I don't have a problem making things easier, don't get me wrong, but I just trying to understand the rules clearly. So,
We're good.
Mayor, so what,
Your guys' choice. Recommendation on the table is that council find the action not defined as a project and approve the item as listed herein. And those items would be to A, merge all individual in-kind and direct council member allocations from separate accounts into a single line item, and change event funding approval process from individual council members having total authority over their allocation to majority approval based upon compliant special event permit application.
I'll make the motion.
So you're gonna motion that. All right.
now second.
Hold on, I gotta get back to my page. You guys are fast. Sorry.
So that's gonna make it easier?
It's gonna make it
Easier on the budget, right?
Look, this will not change any ease of operation. What it will do is it removes, so if a council member, say someone, gosh, dang, I don't even have a good example for this. Say somebody came in, we want to do an Italian pride parade. And they came in and you know what? 4 of you guys have said, you know what? I don't want to support this. If it's majority vote, that does not go forward. It's dead at that point. If it's individual allocations, any individual member without a majority approval can then approve that allocation to assist the individual entity. So it gives you a lot more flexibility, it gives you a lot more control.
To have the event,
Yeah,
but they still have the 30-day period still.
That can't change, guys.
Okay, I just want to make sure because it was interpreted different just minutes ago.
It does, and I will say to the mayor's credit for what he explained, it does provide a much more efficient process when we're not voting this on a majority basis and everything else like that. But it's not gonna really affect permitting timelines. We're basing it on the county and.
Permitting. Oh, am I off? Permitting timelines are different than approval through council timelines. And that's what I wanted to be clear on. the approval through council timelines to get on, what do we mean? So to get on the next docket, which would be the first Tuesday in February, you need your information by when? This Thursday?
Say, so you want to get it on you would actually have to have all of the stuff done ahead of time so that it's a proper permit. So that's the whole 90-day schedule.
Right.
And then you need 2 weeks of lead time. That way we can make sure it hits the council.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change regardless if it's an individual or the group.
It does. So without the requirement for the council meeting, we no longer have to really kind of work it around council schedule and stuff, because you guys meet twice a month. So we don't have to do that, which
Upwards
gives
to
us a lot.
4 or 5, actually. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could, you're right, it could be 2 weeks. It could be upwards of 4 to 5 weeks. Now, as a city, we've always been really good at these last minute deals, which sometimes I'm not a huge fan of. But we somehow sneak it into the agenda and it's on there, and there you go. But theoretically, if you want it on February's docket, you probably would, I can feel Yasmina looking at me. You probably need it on the agenda, on the schedule
Yesterday?
this week.
Fair enough.
So last Friday. So
Yeah.
if you want it on that one, that's where I'm at. So that is how many weeks from, so we're 4 weeks now? So that's my point, is you would need it there last Friday, versus 2 days before the event. So I'll leave that.
Well, you don't bring all events to us anyway.
Only ones that need in kind.
Only the ones that need in kind, they have a
Only.
road closure, as you guys have stated, or they exceed 300 people.
That's right.
Yeah, and then you guys, because that affects the public and the public.
But that doesn't stop everyone from coming, the ones to come forward and voice their negative because they got canceled. That's what it's gonna come to.
I agree.
And if council wanted, all of the processes we follow are defined in the municipal code.
Right.
You guys can modify that at any time. I just do not have individual discretion as a city manager to just decide, I don't want to enforce them.
But so then the council's gonna say, oh, we're still gonna go ahead and have that project because we feel like they ought to have it, and yet they didn't meet the deadlines. That's not right either.
That is council assuming a risk on potential liability, and
That's-
that is your guys' authority.
Okay, at this time, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Olvera. I did that right? Thank you. And I have a second by Councilman Alvarado. You have the second? Okay, with that said, I need a roll call vote. Unless there's an additional comment before I roll.
My comment is that we've taken this very simple process of doing projects in this community that benefits everyone into a very political issue, and I don't like it. And you know how we're gonna stop it? Why do we create it, and how are we gonna stop it?
Well, I won't disagree on the political issue just simply because in-kind services need to be tracked. And that was where we came to the understanding a couple years ago that in-kind and budgetary allocations weren't being tracked. Unfortunately, that fell political because of.
Okay, let me ask the other question as I'm sitting here then. If I have $4,000 earmarked to my name, I can spend it any way, I can dedicate it to anything I want.
So long as it's not a gift of public funds, so it has to fit a particular public purpose, but it's the same policies that we apply to internal staff spending that would be applied in those cases.
But that's only for in-kind then.
No. So the fourth.
Pay for the publications for all of Cinco de Mayo.
Or, and is more typical purchases out of those are, you want to buy a table at an event or something like that. Those are typically what or you want to sponsor an event, something of that nature. Typically, that's where the 4,000 of direct comes in. In-kind comes in on the events, and that lets us track how much staff time is being allocated to certain events, so the auditor can see directly the cost goes.
Okay, so if somebody comes to any of us and they want us to sponsor an animal, or they want us to sponsor a person that's running for a contest, or any of those that aren't just an event, that comes out of the $4,000.
I've seen parades be sponsored, floats be sponsored. You got to be careful with some of this stuff because it can cross the line into get the public funds.
Nonprofits where you need to stay.
Yeah, which is why we do the assessment up front, and we apply the same rules that we apply internally to whatever you guys are going to submit. But that's really the only bar on this. I mean, there's.
All that goes away with this, if I'm correct.
Well, yeah, because it would have to be voted as a group at that point.
Yeah, so all that goes away at this point. So with the motion and the second on the table, all that goes away, Ms. Brown.
And
the assessment
gift of public funds is different staff.
Yeah.
So that we're coming back.
So when you sponsor a person, that's still not a gift of public funds.
What I'm saying is that I guess the benefit of having it come before you as part of a staff report is the justification gets placed in the staff report.
That is correct.
Well, my problem is it not coming in before deadlines and then the city being held liable because that's not being done. There's my hiccups right there.
It's been like that for years.
But
And it hasn't changed. This is why we want to change
It
it.
has-
because it's been like that, I mean, we gotta shore things up and tighten things up, not keep going the way it's going because that's the way it's always been going.
That is
We
correct.
can't do that.
Right.
So, I mean, still not even sure on which way I'm doing. I'm doing on individual, individually voting and getting it in before the timelines and then the city not
No.
being held liable.
Just a quick question.
I just think we need to have events, but I think we need to follow the rules. And I mean, I understood that people were told even, you gotta get your permit in and it doesn't get done, then you know what? You're not gonna have the event. And then we're gonna have you screaming about it and that's not good either.
Yeah, the only hard part about it, it's difficult because it smears on the city and again, people only see things for face value and they don't quite understand what's really happening. And everyone forms an opinion on something they don't know about. So it does make it difficult. Okay, folks, we have a motion on the table in a second. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Olvera and a second, Councilman Alvarado.
That's individually.
No, this will be to bring, to put everything back into one bucket. And any permits or events that are taking place, comes before council for a majority vote, 3/4 vote.
And keeping the city out of,
What happens?
They have to follow, yeah.
Everything has to be completed.
all right.
I have a motion and a second. I need a roll call vote. Are we clear? Thank you. And a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Olvera,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Given.
Yes, get this thing off the table and be done. All right. With that said,
There is mud.
of all the things that were gonna be the most difficult, that was the one. With that said, we're gonna move into city manager comments and reports, sir.
No comments, no reports.
Department director comments and reports.
No comments, no reports.
Very good. I appreciate that. We're gonna move into closed session. We have 3 items on the docket for closed session: conference with real property negotiators, public employee performance evaluation, and the conference with labor negotiators. I need a motion and a second to carry us into recess and closed session.
Motion.
Second.
I have oh man, you guys messed me up. I have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, second by Mayor Pro Tem Olvera. All those in favor with aye. Same sign opposed. We're in recess at 7:07 PM.
Oh, sorry.
All right, welcome back from closed session. I'm going to look for our city attorney to lead us out, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier tonight, City Council recessed into closed session. All members were present. There were 3 items on the closed session agenda. The first, conference of real property negotiators concerning the properties listed on the agenda. City Council heard a presentation from its negotiating team, provided direction, and we have no reportable action. Items 2 and 3 are related. They involve the public employee performance evaluation of the city manager, as well as discussion with labor negotiators concerning the city manager. City Council provided direction. We have no reportable action, and that concludes the report.
Okay, very good. Nothing else left on the docket. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Olvera. All those in favor with aye.
Aye.
Same sign, hearing none.